It's the story of Mossad agents who tried to mess with a German doctor, not knowing how dangerous he was. The film opens at an airport in Israel. The year is 1966, where three individuals disembark from a plane. They are greeted here by applause. A voiceover then introduces the characters of this trio. The first is Stephen Gold, the Israeli military's youngest unit commander. The second is David Peretz, who is 39 years old. And the third is Rachel Singer, who is just 25 years old. In truth, this voiceover is from a girl named Sarah, who is delivering a speech in a hall. Sarah explains that the objective of these three young Mossad agents was to capture a Nazi war criminal, Dieter Vogel, who was a monstrous surgeon, who shattered the lives of many people and disfigured many women. Sarah states that these three agents failed to capture their target because Dieter Vogel was killed amidst the mission. And finally, Sarah reveals that Stephen Gold and Rachel Singer are my parents. So, the woman who was seen in the beginning is Sarah's mother, and she is hearing her daughter's speech at this moment. In fact, Sarah has penned a book about these three agents, and 3 decades have passed since that mission. Following this, a young agent is escorting David somewhere with him. Then David notices that Stephen Gold is seated in the other car. So David leaps in front of a truck and is killed. Subsequently, we are shown a party scene, which has been arranged for Sarah's success. And on this occasion, Rachel Singer is requested to read from the book. And the moment Rachel begins reading the book, she recalls the 30-year-old event where young Rachel Singer has captured Nazi war criminal Vogel. But when she comes back from the kitchen, she cannot find Vogel in his place, because Vogel had managed to free himself. Vogel slashes Rachel's face with a shard of a plate, knocks her down and flees. After this, Rachel draws her pistol and kills Vogel, who was fleeing on the street. And with that, Rachel ceases reading the book. Later, Stephen questions Rachel that I know. Yesterday David saw you, what did he discuss with you about? And then we learn that Stephen and Rachel are divorced, and these two are not on good terms. So Rachel says to go and ask David about that. But seeing the look on Stephen's face, she realizes that David is dead. So Rachel begins to weep after learning this. The next day, for some reason, Rachel departs for the airport, and she recalls the days from 30 years ago, where in 1965, she encounters David after clearing the security check of East Berlin. And for their mission, these two are posing as a couple. And then they get acquainted with each other. This is the initial meeting of these two young agents. Then they meet up with Stephen Gould. Actually, Stephen and David have been acquainted for 2 years, and both are quite baffled that why such a young woman has been assigned to a mission. The next day, Stephen has a dream about David and Rachel. And at that same time, Rachel also remembers her cover story perfectly, according to which David is a chemist, and she herself is David's wife. In fact, their objective is to capture a man named Dieter Vogel and transport him to Israel, so that Vogel can receive the proper punishment for his actions. In reality, Vogel is a German surgeon, and he conducts experiments on human beings. And because of this, thousands have died. The next day, David and Rachel visit a German hospital, where Rachel has an appointment scheduled with Dr. Bernhard. Actually, Rachel arrived here under the pretense that even after 2 years of trying, she is unable to conceive a baby. When Dr. Bernhard examines Rachel, then Rachel captures many photographs of Dr. Bernhard using the hidden camera fitted into her necklace. Dr. Bernhard checks and says that if you have no issue, then there shouldn't be a problem. Following this, David, Rachel, and Stephen convene. Rachel hands them her necklace, which Stephen passes to a man who is riding on a bus. In reality, that man is also a Mossad agent. And the duty of this fourth man is that he will double-check whether this doctor is Dieter Vogel or not. After this, they begin formulating plans for their mission, that they will first render the doctor unconscious and get him onto a train. And there is a station along the train route, which is inaccessible to the public. But guards are always stationed there, who are in fact German soldiers. So for this, they will need to board the train by cutting through the fences on the station's other side. And there is a post office on the station's opposite side, where there are always numerous vans belonging to the post office. So we will make use of that van and get to the station. And we will cut the fencing and get to the train. And our 14 associates will create arrangements to halt the train. At that moment, we will not have to worry about the guards. Because due to the train, they will not be able to see us from the opposite side. What are we doing? After this, David tells the others that today is his birthday. So they commemorate his birthday. Here Stephen was able to inform them that after double-checking, it has been confirmed that Dr. Bernhard is Dieter Vogel. Actually, Rachel is attracted to David. She even attempts to seduce David. But for some reason, David does not reciprocate Rachel's feelings. When Rachel is dejected and crying, then Stephen arrives and starts to seduce her. And then a heartbroken Rachel begins a romance with Stephen. The following day, David acts very strangely, because he has understood what transpired the previous night. But now, what happens? When the ruse is complete at the next appointment, the doctor says to Rachel, Rachel, that's wonderful. You people are working hard. You will surely succeed. But right then, Rachel grabs the doctor and administers an unconsciousness-inducing injection. In truth, this man is Dieter Vogel. By assuming Bernhardt's identity, he is residing here. Rachel then cries out for help. When the nurse summons an ambulance for the doctor, then Stephen and the others arrive with an ambulance at the hospital. And they take the doctor away in the ambulance. After that, they get to the station and begin cutting the fencing. But then a post office employee emerges. So Rachel engages him in her conversation. Actually, there are many guards on the other side of the train track, and the post office is on this side. So David is only cutting through the fences at the moment, when the train is going through this station. After that, a train halts at the station. So the guards go to investigate, because this station is off-limits for the public. So it is unusual for the train to halt here. Actually, this train has been halted by Mossad's fourth agent, so that David and the others can get on the train by cutting through the fences. But this time Vogel regains his senses, and he blares the horn of the van, by which the guards are alerted. But Stephen puts the doctor back to sleep, when the guards start heading over here to investigate. So Rachel also engages them in her conversation. But here a guard spots a cut fence, so he sounds the alarm, and then they are forced to flee with the van. The guards had seen Rachel's face, and a guard was killed during their escape attempt. Following this, Stephen and the others take Vogel to their apartment, and everyone is incredibly despondent that their mission has failed. These three decide that the three of them will watch over Vogel according to shifts, and will also provide him food from time to time. David warns Rachel that you have been identified, and now you will not go outside of the house. The next day, David and Stephen attempt to make Vogel eat, but Vogel refuses to eat anything, and then they keep watch on Vogel from time to time. Vogel acts very rudely toward David and Stephen, but he does not behave rudely with Rachel. When Rachel feeds him, he eats without trouble. Vogel questions Rachel about his wife. In fact, Vogel's wife was the nurse who Rachel had summoned in the hospital after rendering Vogel unconscious. So Rachel informs him that yes, she is fine. So Stephen advises Rachel that you should not listen to Vogel, and do not answer any of his questions. Otherwise, he will get inside your head. Then Stephen tells them that our government has relayed a message. They have requested assistance from America, and the Americans will assist us in getting out of here. Now these events had transpired over a long time. Rachel's mental state is deteriorating. After this, Stephen informs them that I have just learned that the Americans are backing out from helping us, and now they will not assist us. Our government also wants to disown us, because our mission failed due to our error. So much trouble was there that now the Germans are searching house to house. But then they hear the sound of a knock on the door, and they become terrified. Stephen quickly gets ready to kill Vogel, but Rachel checks the door and tells him not to worry. The neighbor lady has come to ask us to the New Year party. Now it has been about a month, and now these people are mentally breaking down. When David is feeding Vogel, then Vogel tells him that you are aware that Rachel is pregnant. But when David is shocked to hear this, then Vogel realizes that Rachel's child is not David's but Stephen's. and he taunts that the way you and Rachel look at each other, it is obvious that you love one another very much. And why is it that Rachel's child is being carried for Stephen? And hearing this, David begins beating Vogel in a rage. So Stephen with great difficulty pulls David off Vogel. And in all of this, Vogel managed to conceal a shard of a plate. And after this, the opening scene occurs, when Vogel had gotten himself free, and Rachel had shot him as he was running. But in truth, nothing like this actually happened. Vogel escaped from there after knocking Rachel unconscious. And then Stephen was able to search for Vogel everywhere. But Vogel is nowhere to be found. And now the three of them begin to feel afraid. First, their objective failed. And now Vogel has escaped. David then starts considering taking the blame for Vogel's escape upon himself. But then Stephen comes up with a plan. He says that we must assume that Vogel has not escaped. Only the three of us and Vogel himself know about Vogel's escape. If Vogel does not reveal this truth to anyone, then no one will ever learn the truth that Vogel got away. And then we will get back to our country, and we will claim that Rachel had struggled with Vogel when Vogel attempted to get away. But Rachel then shot Vogel dead with her pistol, and no one will ever know if Vogel is dead or not. Rachel resists a lot that we cannot tell a lie. But Stephen says that fools, we must lie. This is not only about us, but about our nation. Otherwise, it will be a huge disgrace for our country that one of our captives escaped, and the name of our agency Mossad will be dragged through the mud. David was prepared to die for this. And then in the end, Rachel also agrees to this. So it must be clear to you by now that Vogel was not actually killed. These people are living with a lie. And in front of the world, they made it seem that Vogel was killed on their mission. And because of this, they had gained a lot of fame in their country. After this, we are shown the present-day scene, where there is an argument between Rachel and Stephen. Why did David take his own life? So Stephen hands a paper to Rachel. Rachel becomes even more furious after seeing it, because according to the paper, Vogel is still alive, and he is currently in a mental asylum in Ukraine. Stephen says that a Ukrainian journalist knows in which hospital Vogel is. Stephen tells Rachel that you will have to travel to Ukraine, and you must find Vogel, because we must keep the 30-year-old secret a secret. Rachel slaps Stephen and walks away. On the following day, Rachel meets with Stephen again, and says that I will not do this for my own sake, but for my daughter Sarah and her happy family. In truth, Rachel and her daughter Sarah have gained much fame and glory because of Rachel's mission. And now Rachel will travel to Ukraine to kill Vogel to make this false truth a reality. After this, Rachel arrives in Ukraine, and she sits in one place and starts to think about the old event, when they were proudly recounting their story to new agent candidates after returning from the mission. And these people had told 1,000 lies to conceal one lie. And by now Rachel's daughter was also there. And until now Rachel and Stephen had also gotten married. But these two do not love each other at all. During a party, David meets with Rachel and tells her that he wants to leave Mossad and Israel. And after hearing this, Rachel begins to cry and says that you can't just leave me like this. In reality, these two loved one another a lot. But David is a foolish man. The girl clearly loves him. But David placed the girl into Stephen's hands. But still David bravely tells Rachel to come with him. But then Rachel's focus shifts to the other side. And without getting Rachel's response, David leaves from here. After this, Rachel recognizes the journalist in the newspaper and goes to his office, and gets the address of Vogel's hospital from him. Rachel again recalls the day before David's death, when David came to see her after 25 years. And Rachel asked him that where have you been until now? So David said that I was searching for Vogel across the world, and 25 years have gone by, but I did not find Vogel anywhere. If I had located him, I would have proudly told everyone the truth, that this is the surgeon of Birkenau, Dieter Vogel, and my mission would have been finally completed. But Rachel prevented David from doing this, because by doing so, along with him, Rachel's daughter Sarah's life would have been utterly ruined. And because of this, David was completely shattered. After this, Rachel gets to the hospital in her car, and she requests to see the patient. She had claimed to be Vogel, and at that very moment, the journalist from the newspaper also arrives here. Actually, this journalist took Vogel's interview and intended to publish it in the newspaper. Rachel readies an injection of poison and goes to the patient's room, which is thought to be Vogel. But upon seeing him, Rachel realizes that he is not Vogel. This is someone else who is speaking nonsense. And Rachel believes that this old man is just repeating what he has heard. When Rachel is heading back, she notices another old man, and Rachel begins to follow him. And this old man is none other. It was the real Vogel. He delivers a nasty blow to Rachel, and it appears that Rachel is about to die. Vogel then gets up and starts to leave from here, but he also dies, because Rachel had plunged that poison into Vogel's back. And at that same time, a reporter named Yuri gets Rachel's letter from that madman's room, which was in fact for Yuri. And it was written that Yuri, my name is Rachel Singer, and I was part of the mission to capture Dieter Vogel in 1965. And we always maintained that Vogel was killed while escaping. But it was a lie with which I lived for 30 years. But the courage to tell the truth has come to me today. And in the final scene, Rachel starts leaving from the hospital in an injured state. And she does not know if she is alive or dead. But it is certainly known that Rachel's mission is at last completed in the end.